Welcome to the X Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to send an email, xzone@xzonetv.com. And if you'd like to submit a question for our guests, or if you have a suggestion for a guest, or if you'd just like to communicate with us, you can go to xzonetv.com/questions.htm. My guest this hour is a gentleman I've had the pleasure of having on the X Zone radio show many times. Dr. Joseph Marra is his name. He is in Clayton, New Mexico. Now, Dr. Marra is a gentleman who combines both Western and New Age healing to better his clients. But not only does he have degrees, he has a bachelor's degree, he has a master's degree, he has taken courses in hypnosis, Reiki, energy healing, all to be used in a new way to help people. Because we've seen in the past that sometimes traditional medicine doesn't work, sometimes Eastern medicine doesn't work, but when you combine them, you have a winning combination. Now, Dr. Marra not only deals in health, New Age health, but he also has had experiences with UFOs, ghost sightings, psychic readings, and other events in the paranormal. Tonight, I'd like to talk to Dr. Marra about the Phoenix Lights. And joining me from his home and office in Clayton, New Mexico, is Dr. Joe Marra. And Joe, welcome back to the X Zone. Great seeing you.
Hey, it's great to see you again, Rob.
Tell me, Joe, the Phoenix Lights. Let's go back to, I believe it was going back to March the 13th of 1997. Over 300 miles, Phoenix, Sonora. People saw in the skies what the military is just saying were flares. And yet, thousands upon thousands of witnesses, like yourself, say it was something else. Take me back to 1997, March 13th.
Well, first of all, the history that I'm aware of is what you're talking about. But Dr. Lynn Kitai, who she filmed them and actually created a book, and I've spoken with her at various move-on conferences that we both were speaking at. And what you're looking at there, what I sent you, was a couple years ahead. So it wasn't just a one incident event. I mean, that might have been the first one that made it famous with the book. But that is fast forward, and I believe it's, I'd have to look now because this is a couple years ago. I think it was the fall of 2010, I believe it was. But I have to look. It's been a few years.
Sure.
And so basically, because my friend Terry, who she's a deep channel, a psychic, a medium, if you want to call her that. She was my friend, and we would travel around the country and kind of doing some ghost busting and checking out these things, the UFOs. And, because I was trained in science, my associate, bachelor's, master's, doctorate, they're all in science. And so, of course, there's the scientific method that, you try to look at something and you control for all the variables, and then you try to reproduce it. And so some of these things just are so out there that I wanted to experience them myself. And so once I found out about the Phoenix Lights, and by chance I came upon a person, her name is Cynthia Crawford, and she's the ET sculptor. And so she is allegedly being contacted by various alien ETs, and so she sculpts what they look like. And so, of course, I'm curious, and I'm like, I wonder if this is for real or what. And it just so happened that she lived in Phoenix. And so we traveled out there. We stayed at her house, and my friend Terry happened to be walking by this bay window that faced Phoenix. And she goes, "Oh, my God, there they are." And I ran over, and I grabbed my camcorder because that's exactly why we went. We were hoping by chance that we would catch something, and there they were. It was, serendipity, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but there they were. And so, as you can see from the footage, it's only like a minute and 47 seconds or something, but I ran out there and I captured these Phoenix Lights.
Now, isn't the Barry Goldwater testing range not very far from Phoenix? And this is what the military was saying going back to 1993, that this was an A-10 Warthog training mission, and that what people saw as the Phoenix Lights were nothing but flares.
You know what's interesting about that is the the governor at that particular time came out and made a mockery of the whole thing,
Yeah.
and then later came back after he was out of office and said that he was not only aware of it, but he was a witness of them as well. And so they can make these claims, but when you do the research, and again, I'm not telling you what they are or what they're not.
Right.
I'm just telling you, I caught something on camera. It was unidentifiable to me, and they didn't look like flares. They weren't flickering like an amber and smoke and various. They just hung right there, and they started out with 5, and then it ended up being like they started phasing in and out different colors. They were strobing different colors.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they just started fading out. And I tried to focus in on one of them. And I was so excited that I was just shaking. And it wasn't that I was scared. In fact, I was so excited about the whole thing.
All right, Joe, what we're going to do is we're going to let you settle down because I can see this is getting you excited. And we're going to take a commercial break. X-Zone Nation, Dr. Joe Marra is my special guest, aguidinglight.com. That's aguidinglite.com. We'll be back. Don't go away.
Thomas Jefferson was a Burgess of 27 when he met Martha Wales Skelton, a 22-year-old widowed heiress who was fondly called Patty by her family. They were married on January the 1st, 1772, and they took up residence in a cabin on the building site on top of a Virginia mountain that Thomas had named Monticello. As Thomas and Patty slowly built their first version of the great house at Monticello, the Revolutionary War was heating up. Patty, with difficulty, bore 5 children, but only 2 girls survived. Thomas's political career developed to the point where he was often away from home, but after he authored and signed the Declaration of Independence in Philadelphia, he resolved never again to leave his wife. He was elected the governor of Virginia, just as that state became the Revolution's last battleground. The Revolutionary War ended in 1781, and Thomas gladly retired altogether to
my family, my farm, and my books.
But Patty continued to want to bear her treasured husband a son, and late in the summer of 1782, she died of kidney failure at the age of 33, 4 months after having borne yet another girl. Thomas was so devastated by her death that he never remarried. He mourned her for the rest of his life, even as he helped to frame the peace in France and then became the first Secretary of State, the second Vice President, and the third President of the United States. This story is true. Thomas Jefferson was such an obsessive letter writer and record keeper that we know where he was and what he was doing nearly every day of his adult life. Every significant thing he says in My Thomas comes from his contemporary writings. My Thomas by Roberta Grimes is now available at Barnes & Noble, Costco, Target, Books A Million, Hudson Booksellers, Kmart, Walmart, Sam's Club, Walgreens, CVS, and online at Amazon.com. You can visit Roberta Grimes online at www.robertagrimes.com.
Welcome back, everyone. Dr. Joe Marra is my special guest, www.aguidinglight.com. That's aguidinglite.com. Dr. Marra joins us on Skype from Clayton, New Mexico. Joe, before we went to the commercial break, we were talking about the Phoenix Lights going back to March 13th, 1997. But people say the lights have often appeared in that area going back to 2007 and 2008. The governor at the time, Symington, made it like a joke. He even brought an extraterrestrial costumed person to a press conference. After he's out of office, he changes his story. Joe, in your opinion, after investigating it as a scientist and going to many MUFON meetings, and we've had Lynn Kitai on the show many times as well, what do you think the lights were, or the lights still are? Are they extraterrestrials, or is it the military?
In today's day and age, because we all know that our military is at least 100 years in advancement to our current technology that the general population knows of, it's possible that it could be military. So I don't get that feeling, though, in that moment, and all the research that I've done over the years. I get a sense that it's not from this world, and all the testimonies all over the planet that are people are coming out. And in the past, you would get ridiculed for this. And, I've had that myself. And so as a professional, when you stay in the profession that you're at and you bring these things up, sometimes you're ridiculed. But, more surprisingly, over the past several years, more and more people are open to it because they've had their own experiences. And they come, as soon as you open up, they're like, oh, wow, I haven't been able to tell anybody this, but I've had my own experience. And so, to answer your question, is it possible that it's military in today's day and age? It could be. But that doesn't explain all the wall paintings and things from thousands of years ago that depict these flying objects in the sky before at least known that we know that man took flight. So I don't know.
But if it is an extraterrestrial craft, why did it happen at night? Why didn't it happen during the day? Why haven't the Phoenix lights been seen in daylight? If in fact the ETs are using this as an approach to Earth from wherever they're from.
I think the general census would be, and this is coming from all of my research and just, I really think it's it's slowly introducing themselves because a lot of people are fearful of the potential for a hostile race that would come here and enslave us or eat us or whatever the thought is. I mean, it's on these movies all the time where the extraterrestrials aren't good guys. They're malevolent instead of malevolent. And so I think that it's a matter of a slow introduction to them. That's my own personal opinion.
All right, but if in fact this is their way of getting Earth used to their appearances and used to their presence, and you said earlier that there had been wall paintings and carvings from prehistoric times about these things in the sky. How long is it going to take for them to finally make their move? Wouldn't it be a lot easier just to land, say we're here, bang, get it over with, instead of this thousands of years of guys were coming, guys were coming, guys were coming?
I think it has something to do with the non-interference until people are ready. And so what that means, I don't know. I don't know. In Star Trek, which a lot of the things that we would see back in those days looked like they were futuristic. And now we're seeing the flip phones and then the iPads and all those types of things are coming to pass right now. And so I think there's a lot of truth within the Star Trek series. And I think there is a non-interference till the civilization reaches a particular technology and a certain consciousness. And I also think that there is, and this gets into conspiracy theory, but it all intertwines. I think that there's a controlling faction on this planet that probably prevents some of this stuff. And so, I mean, again, there's not really concrete hard evidence to prove this, physical evidence. And so it's really hard to really go out on a limb here and answer that question. You know what I'm saying?
In your experience, Joe, have you heard of any reason or have you spoken to people who come up with the hypothesis based on fact that these aliens actually pose a threat to Earth?
Again, this is a big story. I don't think so. The ones that we're seeing now in the sky, I think they are benevolent. I think they are star brothers and sisters. I think that they've seeded this planet. I think that, you look at our evolution. I mean, if you just go through science, and we had this leap of evolution, and we went through Neanderthal to the current human, and there's that missing link right there. Well, what happened? How? We still don't understand, but yet, you look at in some of the Bible, and they talk about the Nephilim, and they're talking about the Anunnaki in some other texts, in the Sumerians, the ancient Sumerians. And
we're going to be talking more about the Bible, UFOs, and much more when we return on the other side of this break here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses a quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Wilda Wieka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we will weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Wilda Wieka, and the Science of Magic right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
Are you a believer or are you a skeptic? Are the aliens here? Have they been coming to Earth for thousands of years? Are the angels and the watchers of biblical times extraterrestrials or gods? Or are extraterrestrials the gods? Joining me now from Clayton, New Mexico is Dr. Joe Marra. His website is www.aguidinglight.com. That's aguidinglight.com. First of all, Joe, always great talking to you, my friend. We were talking about biblical times, the watchers, angels, how prehistoric cave paintings have depicted things in the sky. We know that in the Egyptian hieroglyphics, they also point to something in the sky. Many people believe that the three pyramids are in line with the belt of Orion. Once again, coming down to the ET connection. If, in fact, Joe, there is the ET connection, why would, in your opinion, as a scientist, there be a conspiracy? Why the cover-up? Why not just say, we know they're out there, there's no evidence to support the fact that they are hostile? They're here, let's welcome them.
Well, again, this comes back to the conspiracy theory I alluded to a little bit ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think that if... we don't think there's any life out there besides ourselves. We think we're special. And so if there are intelligent beings somewhere else, how did they get here?
Mm-hmm.
And if they're so far away, these light years away, that our Hubble telescope is now finding all these new planets that are suggestive of being like Earth, and there could possibly be habitable, or that's habitable for life, how did they get here if it's light years away? And so then all of a sudden you look into their propulsion system, and you're like, So they have a free energy technology that we could adapt to our homes, our vehicles, our buses, our trains, planes, all that stuff. So if there is a controlling faction on the planet, and we rely on oil, and we all know we're addicted to oil with all our vehicles, our transportation, everything. I mean, right there would tell you right away why it doesn't come out. And again, it comes back to that free will of humanity, where the ETs or our Star Brothers can't step in.
If there is a conspiracy, Joe, and, I sit on the fence because to me there hasn't been that all-conclusive smoking gun that there is a conspiracy. A couple of months ago we had WikiLeaks. We've had Edward Snowden who went from his place to China to Russia. Thousands and thousands of pages of very sensitive material was put on the internet. If in fact there is a conspiracy, wouldn't it be to the advantage of a hostile country to get this information and to blow it skywide, to totally ruin the credibility of the United States, Canada, and all the other partners who are saying at this time there is no UFO phenomenon? It's just, they're not real. There's no conspiracy.
Mm-hmm. And so it comes back to the disinformation, because even though I would see something like this, I have it on footage, you have other people that saw the same thing at the same time to corroborate the story. There are those that are out there to muddy the water to say that, oh no, this was a flare. And so without the factual evidence of what this truly was, how can you prove or disprove? It's muddying the water. And so I don't think and people rely on the media so much so that unless somebody comes out for the masses, like the president of the United States or President Putin or somebody like that, to come out and say, okay, look, yes, we in fact have been visited, and these are the reasons why we haven't disclosed it to people, and let's get on with it. So aside from that, I agree with you.
Is it possible that it's the UFO community who's keeping the conspiracy alive to keep people in their little club, so to speak?
I guess it's so. I mean, I've spoken at many of the MUFON conferences. I don't feel like I'm in a club. I just feel like I've seen something that a lot of people haven't seen, and I'm just putting it out there. I mean, I'm not getting paid to come on air. I'm not out for fame or fortune. I have, a lucrative practice myself. So, why would I go out and do that? And so when I personally am not doing it, then I can also see other people are just trying to get this information out there and saying, look, what is this stuff? We're not crazy. So what is it?
But over the years doing the X Zone, Joe, I've seen a lot of people who are in it just for their 15 minutes of fame, whether it be people claiming to be abducted by aliens or have alien implants or to have had contact, close encounters.
Sure.
It seems, especially now with the internet where anybody can get a website up, anybody can put a video up, there's a lot of disinformation being put to the public from the UFO community or those who are actively involved in the UFO community. So, it makes not only the public wonder, but it also makes mainstream media wonder. Joe, you and I have to take our final break. When I come back from the other side of this break, Dr. Joseph Marra, who is in Clayton, New Mexico, will be back with me as we wrap up this edition of the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. For further information or to contact Dr. Joe, visit his website at www.aguidinglight.com. That's www.aguidinglite.com. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Dr. Joe Marra is my special guest this hour here in the X Zone. His website is www.aguidinglight.com. That's www.aguidinglight.com. First of all, Joe, always great having you on the X Zone, whether it's in the radio studios or here in the TV studios. I must tell you something, Joe. I respect you. I respect your work. I respect the way that you investigate the various phenomena that you do. Why do you do it, Joe?
Curiosity, because I've always wondered since I was a little kid, there's got to be more out there. And so you have all these people that not only that you talk to in a day-to-day, in your day-to-day life, but in my practice, I have patients that come in and tell me various stories. And so when I hear about them, it sparks that curiosity. And so, of course, I want to investigate. I want to see it for myself. I want to experience it.
Joe, is there a common thread between the patients who have these experiences? Is there something that connects all these people together besides the experience itself?
Boy, it depends on which experience. I've had patients that have had near-death experiences. I've had them that had ET contact and on and on and on. And so the one thing that would connect everyone on the planet would be a love vibration. And so it seems to me that when people have these higher experiences, or otherworldly experiences, like a near-death experience,
right,
when they come back, they're a changed person. And so you can see it in their demeanor, their behavior, their understanding, their abilities, different things that they come back with that they couldn't do before. And it has to do with what I believe is thought becomes reality. And so if you are programmed from birth on to believe that you can't do something, of course you're not going to go do it because you don't think you can. And so some of those barriers are lifted when people come back. I see that a lot.
When you go out and you do your presentations at MUFON conferences or any of the other symposiums and exhibitions that are geared towards ETs and UFOs, what is the number one question that you're asked?
Oh, boy. A lot of times I'm asked, like, what did I feel in the moment? Because a lot of people that have these experiences, not only do you see or witness but you also have a feeling. It's almost, and I'm just going to put it into our human words, like telepathic feeling or energy vibration of love. And that's what I felt in the moment when not only I captured this, but other experiences that I've had. It's just this higher loving vibration.
How many experiences have you had, Joe, and when did they start?
You know, and this is why I don't know the date of this, is because there's so many things that have happened to me over my life, and people would say, well, oh my gosh, this is a monumental event. You mean he can't remember the exact date? And it's because I've had so many. I mean, I've gone to the East Eddy Ranch. I've gone to Phoenix, Arizona. I've been to Gettysburg, and all these experiences that I've had, I mean, several. I couldn't even count.
Which one stands out above all?
Boy. I would have to say the East Eddy Ranch was the most profound.
That's with James Gilliland.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because there were so many people seeing the same thing at the same time, and the vibration and the feeling that you get when, and the closest I can describe it is, of course, I'm from Pennsylvania, and I went to a Pittsburgh Steelers game, and that energy that people have, if you're open to feeling it, you're empathic. You feel this excitement, this energy of everybody in the moment. And so it was similar to that, but it's just magnify that by 100. That's what it feels like.
Joe, what would you tell anyone who's listening around the world right now if they've had an experience and they feel that they have to hold it inside because nobody's going to believe them? Within the next 30 seconds, because we're getting close to the end of the show, what advice do you have for them?
I would say, be discernful of who you do tell. And if you see people like myself out there talking about it, contact them, because I get emails all the time and people just want to vent and say, am I crazy, or what is this? What do you think this is? And so that would be my suggestion. And
I'm sure that if the air was cleared of whether or not, in fact, E.T. is real or E.T. is not real, it would be a welcoming thought and a welcoming way of people who have had these experiences trying to make sense of what, in fact, they did or did not see.
Exactly.
Dr. Joe Marra, always great talking to you, my friend. Let our listeners know how they can contact you, Joe.
You can contact me at my website at www.aguidinglight.com. It's
that simple. Once again, Joe, thanks a lot. X-Zone Nation, Dr. Joe Marra has been my guest this segment of the X-Zone TV show. His website, once again, is www.aguidinglight.com. That's aguidinglight.com. If you're a believer or if you're a skeptic, send me your emails. I'd love to hear what you think. xzone@xzonetv.com. Join us next week as once again we investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology and all topics in between. And to always remember to keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. So long, everyone.